Hi, I am Megan Callahan. I am animal care staff and the full-time every year puppy nanny at the Wildlife Science Center. I raised my first litter when I was about 4 years old, and it's kind of just been a skill, if you will, for most of my life. These guys come home with me and live with me, with my dogs, in my house, in my yard, every year, all day. The Wildlife Science Center is an education, research, and conservation center. Everything we do is to benefit the Mexican Grail for red wolf reintroductions and to find out more about how to non-lethally control wolves in the wild from eating livestock. Hi, honey! This year we heard from our friends at the International Wolf Center that they wanted some new wolf puppies for their education program, and we were happy to oblige. We allowed Chief and Iris, who are two of our, really our best parents, and dare I say some of our more beautiful animals. We allowed them to breed this year with the hopes that they had puppies, and they had 5 beautiful pups. Unfortunately, IWC, due to COVID, everyone was impacted. They were concerned about not having enough staff to, raise the puppies appropriately. So they asked us to hang on to them this year, and we were happy to. These guys are awesome. So hopefully in the future, if IWC is interested, they will reach out again, and we will maybe do this team up again. Chief and Iris are both British Columbian origin animals, both wild-born. Just really, really large, beautiful animals, the largest of the subspecies. When a female has pups, again, like I said, she had 5. I didn't feel like raising 5 this year, and she didn't feel like raising 5 this year. So when we went in, we knew when she had her pups, and we went in 11 days later because wolf puppies open their eyes between 12 to 14 days. And we want to catch that before their eyes open, because when their eyes open, they have a fear response to people. So we went in at 11 days and checked all the pups, and we left the 2 biggest ones with Iris to raise, and we took the 3 smaller. It wasn't a dramatic size difference, but that increases the chance of survivability with the animals that she has, and just allows us to kind of help along the smaller ones. So there's 3. We have a female and 2 males. The female Ruffian is named after the historic racehorse who tragically lost her life, and she is a total mama's girl. She follows me around. She's interested in what I'm doing when I'm sitting on the couch. She climbs up there, and she still sucks on like the meaty part of my shoulder or my thigh, and just very, very clingy. But also we'll be like, alright, that was fun, bye mom, and we'll just disappear. She'll go look at the neighbors or the pigs or whatever. And then the 2 boys, Nereus and Zebel. Nereus and Zebel are both named after Aquaman, because I have a problem. Nereus is a big, dark male. He likes to throw his weight around a lot, which I assumed he would. The character is a king, so it's fine. No, he's really interesting, and he pushes boundaries a lot. But at the same time, if I haven't seen them for a while and I go in there, he is the first one that comes up, and he's a total mama's boy, climbs in my lap, is so happy to see me. And then Zebel is a little more bashful. Zebel is the Atlantean nation, if you will. There's 7 of them. He's a little more bashful, still loves his time with me, but also is independent. He goes off and he does his own thing, and likes to spend time alone. But also when it comes to, if he's gonna sleep somewhere, he needs his siblings, and he needs to be either under my bed or just somewhere cozy that he knows. So they're all very, very unique and special in their own way. So when they are at my house, you might have seen in some of the footage, they have collars on. And that is, I feel gross just having them on. The wolves are not pets, they're not collar trained, they're not leash trained, anything. It is strictly because, frankly, I'm in a part of the state where wolves are very poorly thought of. And so for my neighbors, I like to just not bring up that they're wolves. And as they grow, they start to look like wolves. So the collars just kind of add this, oh, from here, oh, I guess it's a dog, it has a collar on. When they're at work, when they're interacting with people, any other time when they're interacting with each other, when they're asleep in the house, they do not have their collars on. It is just when they're out in the yard, when my neighbors can see them, This part of the state is very smoke a pack a day, wolves are bad, shoot, shovel, and shut up. And I like to just make sure that people don't know I'm raising wolves. Good boy! So we take them at around 11 days, and the first about 12 hours, we let them get a little bit hungry, because when we offer them a bottle, the first thing they notice is it doesn't feel like mom, and the second thing they're going to notice is it doesn't taste like mom, so they're going to refuse. But if they're a little bit hungry, then when we offer it to them, they're like, well, I guess, you know, I'm hungry, and this is close enough. It's warm. It's relatively teat-shaped. So if we do it that way, then the switch is very easy. But after that, once they're on the bottle, it's every 3 hours around the clock until they get a little older, and then it's every 4 hours, which is, it's great when we can sleep for about 2 hours. But when they're very little, they're in a smaller crate right by my bed, so I can hear them when they're hungry. And I get up and I trudge out and I feed them and assist them in going to the bathroom, because when they are quite small, they can't urinate or defecate on their own. So we have to help them along. I'm not going to lick them to stimulate them to go to the bathroom. I love them, but there's a line. Some of my dogs will do that, including some of my mom's puppy dogs. Poppy is really good at that. Hope is really good at that. But if the dogs aren't around, we just use a damp paper towel. So we do all of that at night. We make sure that they're healthy, make sure everyone's eating. And as they grow up, they reach a certain point where they can sleep through the night. So I'll give them a big... Hi, baby! I'll give them a big meal at about 10:30 or 11. And then I get to sleep until 5. It's amazing! And then we start to switch them to... not switch them to, but add solids to their diet very soon. Because when we have pulled puppies off of mom at 11 days, we've discovered that she is already regurgitating meals for them. So we offer them raw food and venison as soon as we can, so that fills them up a little while longer. And then once they start switching to solids, then they sleep through the night, and then we taper them off as they eat. They eat fawns and they eat chicks and chickens and all kinds of stuff like that, where they can get the whole diet from the guts and the bones and everything like that. These guys are part of several very important research studies. Specifically, we're working closely with Dr. Brian Hare at Duke University, studying the canine cognition and comparing wolf puppies to dog puppies. Because even at 6 weeks, dog puppies take cues from humans for food. Because they have to. That's how dogs survive. But wolves, it's not in their frame of reference to take cues from humans. So it's really, really interesting to see the differences. So they'll send some grad students, or in COVID's case, send some cameras out, and we will play these games with the puppies, and then the people at Duke will compare the data that they took from dogs as well. So at this stage in their development, I'll kind of talk about diet first. They are pretty much weaned off. We still offer them a bottle ever so often, maybe once a day, as like it's more of a bonding thing at this point. It comforts them, but their mouths are a little bit too big for the nipple. And the only reason we are still offering it is we watch Iris and we watch other females, and when they start to make their puppies stop is when we start to wean them off as well. I wish Iris would make them stop. I see how big these guys are. I can't imagine the pain she goes through having these big teeth stuck on her poor nipples all the time. Yeah, these guys are eating whole deer legs and whole fawns, whole chickens, the bones and everything. They rip into it, and it's really cool. It's a really natural thing for them to do. And then in terms of kind of developmental, puppies go through, there's 3 den sites. So there's the natal den, and that's where the female gives birth. And then she moves them to the maternal den, and they stay in there until they're kind of toddling out and observing, you know, what's going on. But the den there is always there for safety. But at this stage, they are moved to something that's called a rendezvous site. And the rendezvous site it's like a puppy daycare playground mixed in. In the wild, if you find a rendezvous site, it's gonna be, there's trampled grass, there's bones, there's maybe things that they found, little toys everywhere. But then there's tall grass around it and places for them to hide. So my yard is kind of their rendezvous site. They come out and they play, but it's really interesting because any sort of sound that they don't know, they run under the deck, or they run into the house, under the bed, into the tall grass. So it's really cool to kind of see the similarities, because they need to be careful, because they're left there without adults at the rendezvous site. So they need to be able to be like, oh my gosh, I don't know what that is, I'm going to hide. But then when their adult says, hey, it's me, oh, okay, it's you, I'm going to come out and see you. And that's what they do. If they hear something scary, they hide and like, oh, hey, babies, you're all right. They're like, oh, it's mom. Okay, I see this. This is comfortable. This is, you know, I'm comfortable with this. And then my dogs help as well. And sometimes they don't. Today is July 6th, so as you can all imagine, July 4th was fireworks and everything. Everyone was under my bed, and my dogs were barking, so the puppies were convinced something tragic was happening, and I repeated several times, it's okay! And the dogs eventually calmed down and helped the pups calm down as well. But, yeah, that was eventful for everyone. And as they grow, they're gonna start closing off their circle, as we call it, as to who they're comfortable with. So the people that bottle fed them and the people that were around when they were being bottle fed, they are going to be in that circle forever. But then if you come in after the circle's closed, you're not. They might be okay with you, but you are never going to be part of that trusted group. So a fear response in wolves is, wild wolves, especially puppies, is incredibly important. Especially if a human randomly comes into their rendezvous site, that is not okay if they're comfortable with them. Other wolves that aren't in their pack, it could be a territory dispute, stuff like that. Puppies need to be able to get safe. Any predator, the list goes on, mountain lions, bears, anything like that can, and I'm sure does, kill wolf puppies in the wild. And so for wolves, the fear response is what keeps them alive. And learning from a single experience is what also keeps them alive. The wolf that repeatedly bites a porcupine is not going to survive. Whereas the wolf that, that hurt, okay, I'm never going to do that again. And we see it in our captive wolves as well. One negative reaction is all it takes for them to learn about that vehicle, about that person. And that can make them either no longer safe for that person to interact with, or makes them nervous of that person or that vehicle or that thing for the rest of their lives. So the dogs are here to kind of act as a surrogate parent. And because we do our very best, you know, we take care of them, we bottle feed them, we nurture them, we discipline them. But there is something about a canid that we just can't quite mimic. I mean, the nose, the confidence, the body language, despite our best efforts, we're not. And so having especially this number of dogs, the puppies are so incredibly comfortable, and they learn incredible social skills from interacting with the dogs. And Xena, the little Malinois puppy, is more of a litter mate to them. But the rest of the guys, even Toothless Raisa and Haley, are only 6 months old, but they are adults in their life. And so their relationship is just, it's fascinating. They go up, the puppies go up, they suck up to them, they roll over. Some of my dogs will regurgitate for them. I wish they wouldn't. I pay for the food. But it's really cool to see, and you can't train that in a dog. We analyze our dogs incredibly, just like down to the letter. We see how they react with dog puppies. We watch them through the fence. We watch their just demeanor in general. It's okay if the dog can't cut it, but people can't force a dog to have to cut it, because that's going to result in an injured puppy. So again, we do a lot of vetting on our dogs to make sure that they're going to be good with the puppies. And we continue to watch them throughout the puppy raising. We don't ever leave dogs alone with puppies. Most of my dogs are rescues or have medical cases, stuff like that. The 3 lab puppies, mom is feral, and they have a lot of fear responses to people. So, you know, they all just, it's piles of neglect, but we get these incredible, you know, diamonds in the rough out of these amazing dogs that, you know, they become so important in the life of the puppy, that it's crazy to think some of them had such horrible beginnings. So I know a lot of people will see, oh, the puppies are being raised with the dogs, are they going to be friends forever? Absolutely not. And so with some of our dogs, it's very hard for them to know when we have to cut it off. Because wolves are constantly assessing. Because in the wild, you want to be in charge. The animal that's in charge breeds, the animal that's in charge eats first, the animal in charge survives. And so these wolves are going to correctly assess, well, I can take that dog, you know, that might be my higher ranking animal, but now I'm 70 pounds, what's it going to do? So they will not be friends. And actually around 4 to 5 months, we cut off interaction with the dogs and the wolves. And some of our shepherds are like, tell us, you know, these are wolves now. They're not my puppies anymore. But we do have my Siberian Husky Maisie, or Poppy, my mom's shepherd. They cry for the wolf puppies when they're in with adults, and it's really hard to watch. But it's, you know, you can't. You're a dog. You're a small dog compared to the power business relationship structure that wolves had. The wolves live in my house. They live with my dogs, but I'm reminded constantly. You know, every single day they do something that I'm like, I don't want you in my house forever. You're here because I want to socialize you. You're here because I want you to have a good beginning. But they are not potty trained. They destroy everything. They get into stuff. They get in my face over my personal belongings. You know, they're so cute, but they're so wolves. And it will be a bittersweet day when, they're too big to be here. And I will cry. This is just a stop on their way to adulthood. They will always be, the babies that grew up in my house. Well, so is MJ. So Chief and Iris grew up in our house. And then they go on, and it's, again, I've said this before, but being able to say that I've seen the process from this baby that sleeps on my bed to a 110-pound wolf that wants to rip my face off because he's in charge now. It's incredible, and it's really important to constantly remind myself. This weekend, Ruffian was sleeping on my bed, and it's like, yeah, okay, but she's a wolf. This is cute now. It won't be cute in even a month. A month she will be a completely different animal, and that's just the way they are.